I'm Katie Dean, an entrepreneur and successful business owner. What does it really mean to manage a business effectively? Is it what you learned in business school? The latest and greatest gimmicks online? I'm on a mission to talk to successful entrepreneurs from around the world about the system they've used to boom their businesses in a wide variety of industries. Welcome to EMA Evolutionaries, Success at Work. With nearly 3 decades of experience using the Hubbard Management System to boom multiple businesses, Pat Clouden knows firsthand the power of this unique technology and uses it daily to not only ensure his own businesses and employees do well, but also to serve the communities in which he lives and works. I sat down with Pat to hear how he got started booming his businesses with the Hubbard Management System, what it's meant for him as a business owner, and some of the valuable lessons he's learned from real-world application. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Tell us about your business.
23 years ago, I was in the long distance business. We had a company that sold long distance services all over the United States. So we sold that business, and I was at a party, and I got introduced to the concept of energy. And energy was deregulating like long distance was. So we sell futures contracts. So we go to small and medium-sized businesses, and we sell them a fixed rate for anywhere from 6 months to 5 years. In some parts of the country, you can actually give them a fixed rate for 8 years. So if you look at today's world, we have people that we have signed up in 2019, 2020, what have you, that love us because we save them millions of dollars in their energy costs because they have a fixed rate based on those rates back in 2019, 2020, what have you.
Wow.
So once you start selling commercial anything, you need a better caliber, more educated salesperson. And so we put together a whole training program back then and became totally expert at that. And here we are 23 years later.
Tell me, when did you discover the Hubbard Management System, and was it easy to implement? What was the process like for you?
The process for me started, I was not in business before, and I discovered the works of Mr. Hubbard. And so I learned some basic datum from Mr. Hubbard and from that, and then got into business, and was very easy concepts to understand, very easy concepts to apply. And in the confusion that is in business, so when you start in, anybody who started in, especially an entrepreneur, you start down a certain path, and next thing you know, you could be on a different path because a different opportunity presents itself.
Totally.
And so how do you prepare for that? How do you organize for that? And how do you actually create a group that's able to do that? And the Hubbard Management System has given me the tools to not only understand that process, but to be able to grab a hold of it and be successful. As 23 years, we're still one of the top brokers in the energy broker industry here in the United States.
That's incredible.
And have been for all these years, even through COVID, for all of this stuff.
Wow.
Right. So, we're probably in the top, I want to say, let's say 10 brokers for at least close to, say, 10 of the major suppliers. Now, we're talking about major corporations, some of the biggest corporations in America.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so we have tremendous success in that area, and the success is very dependent upon the implementation of the Hubbard Management System.
So you started using the Hubbard Management System right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go, right from the,
Did
fortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Did you feel that your team and who you were working with, were they able to assimilate the data pretty easily?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a commitment from the owner. As an owner, you have to be totally in, right, to put in the any system. And so with the Hubbard Management System, it starts with hiring. So what's the correct hiring line? And you have to be able to hire people. You have to attract them to you. You have to be able to interview them. You have to then be able to hire them and get them started. And then you have to have a training program that actually trains them how to do their job. Up until, if you look, back in the day, I used to tell business people, just go to any Sunday paper and go through it, and you'll see ads for salespeople. And so what they typically say is experience only. Experienced people only need apply. We're looking for salespeople in such and such industry. Only if you're experienced. So what are they saying? They're basically saying that we're only interested in people that somebody else trained. We can't possibly train anybody. So we have to rely on other people training. And so through the application of the Hubbard Management System, I was able to develop a training program that we are able to take people from, as long as they're willing, good people, hardworking, willing to be part of the group, willing to be part of the team, I can teach anybody to do what we do. And so that is the kind of the foundation of my company, Consumer Energy Solutions. And so Consumer Energy Solutions is actually a training company. That's one of the things that we are. We are a training company. And that's part of the whole aura of our company, is the ability to train people. And so when we really get people trained and put on so that they can actually win in what we're doing, then you're able to then move from that into the other aspects of business. And so this is how we've developed this whole thing.
That is an essential part that I think a lot of business owners miss, is that
100%.
Just like you said, they want somebody to come to them with all the answers already.
Right.
And if that happens, even if they do get somebody that's experienced and then something goes wrong, they don't know how to handle it.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it
that's
sounds
exactly right.
You got all the fundamentals in, which
Yeah.
ensured, okay, I have control over this environment.
Yeah, exactly. And there are, see, that's the thing that you learn with the Hubbard Management System. What are the tools? What are the things that you should be putting attention on? And what are the things that really matter to develop a business? And I can run through them. You obviously have to hire people. You have to be able to train them. Mm-hmm. Then you have to have a public relations unit or team that actually understands real public relations, which is making all of the good works that you're doing well known. Then you have to have a marketing group, and the public relations actually helps your marketing. And once you understand that, you know more than probably most people that graduate in marketing from any major college in the United States.
So that often, sorry to interrupt, I was going to say so often people think those are the same thing. Yeah,
no, I know, it's a huge misunderstanding. Those are completely different subjects. And the simplicity of it is, if you had two dentists, dentist A, dentist B, and dentist A, they went to the same college, they have the same background, they handle kids. Let's say both dentists handle children, they're a children doctor. So one of them buys a mailing list to all the moms in the area, does a mailing, and gets a response, right? Okay, that's regular marketing. The other dentist actually gets involved in a drug education program, educates the community, gets very involved with the community. The moms all recognize him as the guy who cares about their kids in drug education. Then he buys the exact same mailing list, does a mailing. Who do you think is going to get the better response? It's common sense, right?
Totally.
So if you understand that concept, you understand the difference between public relations and marketing. There's a huge difference between those two things. And then it becomes to the key part of any business, which is the ability to sell and the ability to deliver. If you have a back off on the subject of sales and an inability to sell, you've just limited your ability to really flourish and prosper. You just can't win the game, basically. So what we do is we have an intensive training program on the subject of sales. We can teach anybody this. We're hardcore on it. We make it fun, we make it alive, lots of drilling, lots of real life application, and we're able to actually create salespeople who are very educated and whose purpose is to give our customers enough information to make intelligent energy buying decisions. So you're there to help them and give them information, and then follow the process. And then, of course, you have to be able to deliver, right? You have to be able to deliver in such a way that people love you and you've done a great job for them, so much so they tell others about you, right?
It seems like when you describe it, which was beautiful, by the way, it's just so organic.
Right.
Like, but if you don't know the know-how of it, then you can lose control. But
Right.
because you guys have such a smooth system that you've educated your entire staff on,
Right, exactly.
it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and then it goes from there then into finance. And then now you have the different aspects of finance. See, the making of money is a totally separate thing than the handling of money. And so you have to separate those two and know how to handle money in such a way that helps your business expand. And then the third leg of that is, which is really not covered in the Hubbard Management System, but is common sense, is investing, right? So that's because it's part of money. And the mistake that I have seen business people do is they use the money that they're making, they then cut corners on their finances because they're trying to invest. I'll give you an example of that. So there's a dentist, I'll use a dentist again, is a guy he gets his practice, it's running well, and things are going well. He decides to buy another practice. So now he's financing out of his first practice a second practice that's using up and tying up all his money. Say, no, that's the kind of the wrong. You just have to really be smart with that.
Yeah.
And you got to be very, especially in today's day and age, and handling these different aspects. So you're don't get caught up in it, and so you don't end up a statistic. Because most small to medium-sized businesses fail, and this is one of the reasons why. Is they can't embrace these different concepts, or they don't have them in. They're not even part of the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so once you get all of that in, you got you're rolling along. One of the other thing is, we can call them negative people. You have to be totally aware of, as a business person, bringing in people who really, there's a good way to describe it, people who don't mean you well, right? And people who are not there they're not aboard on the same terms as everybody else, and they're actually trying to hurt your business rather than aid it and help build it. And so if you're not aware of that, and if you don't know how to handle that, it can create so much destruction in a business.
And it can be sneaky.
It can be extremely sneaky.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to circle back to what you said about the investment part, because I'm just so curious. What would you suggest that company did instead of starting another practice? What would you consider a wiser decision in the investment?
I would think that the first thing they would look at is like buying a strip mall that they can put their practice in, as an example, rent out the other units, and now all of a sudden they've increased their cash flow because the other units are paying their rent.
Wow, that's so smart.
Right? So, and then you have whatever appreciation, and depending on where you are and all that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're now making an investment every month where let's say your mortgage on that is getting less and less every month, so you're increasing the value of your investment.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Now there are guys that, let's say the dentist again, the key for that guy actually buying another practice would be personnel. Right? So does he have the right people? Like if he had an abundance of really good people,
yeah.
Okay, I could take these people and put them here, and we could make this work again because they know what to do. They're trained, right?
Right.
And so if you're just doing that and you don't have experience with it, and you don't have experienced people, and you don't, you have to evaluate it. You have to evaluate properly what you're confronted with, what you're looking at, who's involved, who are the people. Evaluate the people, and all of these things become part of the Hubbard Management System. That's why it's called a system.
How has the Hubbard Management System changed you, like your life personally?
Let's say before, I was doing everything, right? So I'm doing the ads, making sure the ads are in place, make sure I'm doing the interviews, hiring people, training them, running back, seeing how the salespeople are doing, correcting that, right? And so you're literally doing all of these things, all of these activities. So obviously that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of hair pulling out, and all of that. Probably some of this gray hair is from all that time period. It's similar for anybody who's starting anything, right? But if you know what's out, like in other words, if I know that I'm not doing enough PR, if I know I'm not doing enough any of these steps, at least I know that I'm not doing them, and I can build towards them. Right. How is our hiring line going? How is our training? How are the people doing in the training? What difficulties, what problems are we having? Then I want to know what public relations we're doing. How is that going? How are we impacting our recruitment, for example? Because what we do a lot of public relations about the work environment. We've won top 100 workplaces in the Tampa Bay area. I think it's 10 of the last 11 years. And the only reason we didn't get it the 11th year, we didn't get our application in time.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So we're in the top 100 workplaces year after year after year. And the reason for that, this is done by an independent group with the Tampa Bay Times. And so they interview your staff. It's all online, right? And they have to fill out the stuff. Cool. And then they have judges who pick the top 100 companies. And so we're one of the Consumer Energy Solutions is one of the top 100 workplaces. So I concentrate and I really work at creating a work environment that's fun, right? Mm-hmm. That people are hardworking, which means they're winning. They can actually do this, which means they can make money, right? And with salespeople, you have two big things. You got time and money, right? So you play time games, time off early on Friday, right? And we're always playing games. Then we will make that into a public relations campaign, which helps our recruiting. Because people see that and go, oh, that's a fun place to work.
I want that.
Yeah. So we literally have game day. Every Wednesday is game day. We play games all day long. But you have to get products, you have to get sales, or you have to get marketing leads or this sort of thing in order to participate, right? And you can't be late. Right, so we run it. That's what I'm saying. It's run very rigidly, but people like that and they respond to that. Yep. And so then you have to make sure that you're the concentration into the world of marketing. Like in my business, my marketing it's such a huge competitive market that we have to be guerrilla type marketers. We have to literally be guerrillas, meaning we have to use unusual methods or old school. I call them old school. We're old school. We call people on the phone. We get them on the phone and we talk to them. Imagine that. And so, totally. But what I don't want is I don't want my salesmen spending all their time looking for the next person to talk to. The death of salespeople is not the inability to close like most people think. You can teach someone that. The death of salespeople in any sales industry is the finding the next person to talk to. And it's the grind of that. There is a grind to that. So what I do is I have a group, my marketing, we call them fronters, right? We just made up a name. It's called fronters. And basically they do lead generation. And they would get someone, get them on the phone, get them an interest, and they would tag a trained energy consultant. Oh, okay. And so then my salespeople are spending more of their time actually doing registration to energy programs than trying to find the next person to talk to. And we've been doing this for years. This is one of the things I figured out years ago in the energy industry based on what I had learned from Mr. Hubbard, right? So again, he led me on this path. Oh, okay, good. This is how I can figure this out. And because it was a major, major problem. At one point, I was spending $20,000 a week. Imagine this, $20,000 a week to get enough people to come in the front door. We'd hire a group of them. Hopefully they would stick, right? And if they didn't stick, well, they've got the next group coming the following week, right? Very inefficient. It was extremely, obviously inefficient.
These are customers or these are your employees?
No, salespeople.
Oh my gosh.
Salespeople.
Wow.
We're trying to attract salespeople to sell the programs that we have. And so then what I did was I had 5 guys who were very good. They had gotten to be very professional. So at the time, what we did is we worked out and we interviewed each of them, found their successful actions, right? What were they doing that was successful? What was their sequence of action? Because they all had a sequence. They would do this before they would do this, and then they would do this. We made that into a training program.
So smart.
Right? And that's what to this day, this is how we teach people. Then the killer was the key words, right? Any industry has words in it that people don't understand. So when you're calling somebody in the energy business, you're having them look at their bill. Well, there's all of these words and stuff on the bill that, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
So that you'll hear people in my office explaining that to people. This is what this means. This is what this means. Oh, I always wondered what that meant. Right?
Can they call me up?
Yeah.
Can they explain them to me?
Yeah, exactly. So, so we make sure that they understand, the salespeople. And here's the fourth thing, which is really where it comes as the commitment to it, is the drilling. You have to practice drilling, whatever you want to call it. You have to put in practice. You have to put in drilling. And to this day, even my very best salespeople go. I have 2 full-time people. That's all they do all day is work with people on drilling and making sure that they're communicating the right way, and what part of the nuances of the industry, the nuances of the each state that we're in can have different nuances.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we make sure that they're all on top of that. And again, even my best salespeople utilize this training to, I'm talking to this guy. Can you help me? Because he's got some questions or he'll have something that I'm not quite sure about. So education, training is a constant thing to me, that is a huge part of the Hubbard Management System. And it's a big omitted in, I'll show you how much of a big omitted it is. I actually have a second company called Accelerated Training Solutions, which we put together sales training courses for other industries. So I've done it for dentists, I've done it for chiropractors, I've done it for hotels, I've done it like 8 different industries.
Wow. And
it's all based on the same concept of what we did. We started it in the energy industry. And so so the importance of that, I couldn't overstress that. It is a big commitment. And it takes a commitment from the management and the ownership to really make sure it doesn't fall out. It's one of the easiest things to drop out, especially when times get tough.
Yeah.
So what I do when times get tough is I go back to the basics. I make sure, one of the things I learned from the Hubbard Management System is checklists, right? Checklists.
Yeah.
So I literally have a checklist of every successful action for every part of the business. And then every day I have my group go through this checklist to make sure they haven't changed anything, and make sure we're doing the basics. So versus the latest bright idea,
right?
Oh, why don't we try this? Why don't we do this? It doesn't mean you don't try different things, but you do them over here. You can do it kind of over here as a pilot,
right?
And see if it works versus changing the whole thing. And I get everybody doing it. It's much better to constantly figure out what are the basics of your business. And that's one of the things that the Hubbard Management System has done for me. And that is what has really taken it to a different level, because then I was able to then train people for these different things that I was doing, like, running all like a chicken with my head cut off, doing all these things. Good, now I have somebody who does the hiring. I have someone who does the training. I have sales managers. I have a guy, he's like the game show host. His job is to make sure that we're playing games and that the atmosphere is one of games. That's what we want to operate is lots of games, because it selling anything takes, again, there's a grind to it. But if you can make it where it's very the people that are doing good participate, right? And it lifts the whole spirit of the place. And this is something I never would have figured that out on my own. It was something that I figured out through in the use of the Hubbard Management System.
What are your plans for the future, and how does the Hubbard Management System fit in?
Well, the first plan for the future is to keep it in.
Good
right.
one.
Yes, exactly. So you gotta. I daily review these different aspects that we've touched on to make sure that they're running properly and and things are moving in that right direction. What it has allowed me to do personally is get involved in other projects. I have all kinds of different projects that we're involved in the community, and we're a very community-oriented group. Everything from drug education. We're very involved in a community learning center, which is it's now evolved into. It started as a tutoring group that evolved into a charter school.
Nice.
And it's very, very successful charter school. And then different projects around the community and things that interest me that basically make the community a better place to live.
I think a lot of people get so enveloped into their post or their hat or their job, whatever it is that they're doing, that they can't focus on anything else.
Yeah,
You might not even have the mental bandwidth to focus on something else.
Real freedom is the freedom to play the game the way that you want to play it. And so this is always my goal, is the freedom to play the game, not from a compulsion or an inhibited kind of way,
Yeah.
right? But hey, this is a game we're playing. I want to win, and I want to help other people win. And so this is how we operate.
So it sounds like you guys are just going to keep expanding, but you're also going to expand with your community outreach, helping others on
Right.
various different groups and scenarios. So
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's beautiful.
And that's what we want to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
If someone's thinking about applying the Hubbard Management System or getting involved with it, what advice would you give them?
What I always suggest, number one thing, with the Hubbard Management System, the first thing you correct with anybody, or if I was to advise someone, let's put it that way, if I was to advise someone, the first thing you do is fix their goals, their intentions and their goals. That is the first part of the Hubbard Management System, is really making sure you have a clear understanding of what is your real goal in this, and what effects do you want to create in what you're doing, and how does that all come together. And then the other part of that is any business in entrepreneur has got to confront the subject of sales.
Pat, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's fun.
It was really fun. I learned a lot.
Good. Perfect.
And where can everybody find you if they want to find out more about your company? Maybe they want to buy some energy.
Consumer Energy Solutions on Facebook, on social media, LinkedIn. You can find Pat Clouden, right, and Patrick J. Clouden, actually, on those.
Love it.
LinkedIn or Facebook, or we're on social media. You can find us there.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of EMA Evolutionaries. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be the first to hear about new episodes. And for more information on this series and your local EMA, visit us online at emaevolutionaries.com.